Circles, circles, circles. I keep my life going in circles until I am truly dizzy and worn out. I haven't slept in days, still trying to figure out why I keep going in circles. Okay, so
Been through the pages of my old journals, with every turn another memory.
Hello and welcome to episode 71 of Journaling Through the Years. I am Leah Liz, and this is a series on this channel wherein I read through one of my journals. I've been writing in journals since I was old enough to hold a pen or a pencil, and if you've been following along, I have quite the playlist going back to stuff I've written since I was like 8. And I'll always include that playlist at the end of the series if you want to go back and check out other episodes. And last week I was talking about how it sounds like I always journaling through the years. Sounds like journaling through the ears, which is kind of true when you think about it, because you're writing and it's coming from your brain, which is between your ears. So alternate title. Housekeeping out of the way. Merchandise. The Jesus Loves Queer merchandise, which is a fundraiser for the Trevor Project and also is tied to the short film I Am Fine, which we will be having. If you're local, there will be a featured artist event where we'll be showcasing that. And then we also have the Time Keys fanfiction, the Doctor Who related merchandise. So we've got the Time Keys band shirt. That's either a tank top or sweatshirt or hoodie or t-shirt. And then we have the Recovery is Sexy, which is a benefit, proceeds of it benefit NAMI Southern Oregon, which is my local chapter of NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. So all those links will be down below if you want to purchase something or check out those organizations. Patreon, with CafeGirl has a Patreon if you want to support. patreon.com/CafeGirl Thriving Artists, and lots of little benefits like a shout out on social media, a Facebook private group. I'll work on the Discord. I was on Discord, I think I still have it, but then I changed computers and I don't have Discord anymore, and I couldn't figure it out when I was on there. I was like really confused. I was like, what? So we do have a channel, and I'll try to get that set up again. And then also you get to like early release. If you're on a certain level, you get, actually everybody from $1 upwards gets early release of all the online film and media. And I'm working on also when we do some we're going to be filming a couple weeks, I would say, in September specifically. We're starting some of the other film projects and doing some behind the scenes stuff and putting that on the Patreon just for the patrons just for the patrons. Website, check out the website, www.cafegirlproductionsinc.com. That was under the former name, but the website is still under that for now. So go check that out if you want to learn about some of the services that I have coming up. Services, not like Christian church services, but like I'm offers, my offer. And then also other, links to past content and current content, like the Fangirl Hour. If you haven't listened to that podcast, it's on Anchor, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. And it's where I interview someone about their favorite fandom, and they tell me why, and we just really get into that. We really fangirl out. And then I've had everything from theater to vegan diet to Batman to Night Court, of course, to no, we haven't had Beverly Hills 90210. We've had all my children. The Kennedys, JFK, all that. So yeah, check it out. And if you want to be a guest on that, email cafegirlproductions@gmail.com. I'm always looking for guests, so there you go. So I don't think I really have too much of a content warning this time, but I'm going to put that out there just as a blanket statement for this journal. As you know, we've dealt with a lot of content in the last couple of weeks, a lot of content warning triggering stuff, depression, suicide. So I'm just going to put that out there, even if this doesn't happen. Circles, circles, circles. I keep my life going in circles until I am truly dizzy and worn out. I haven't slept in days, still trying to figure out why I keep going in circles. Okay, so that could be partly having bipolar. I didn't officially have a break that would constitute, usually when somebody has a major mental disorder like bipolar or something, or schizophrenia or something like that, the first break doesn't really happen until like 18 or 19. It's going to reveal itself in its fullest. So that there could have been an aspect that I was staying up for that. But I also remember I had been diagnosed with ADD, and I was taking Ritalin because that's all they had back then, and that is, method fitted that. It's basically, as we said, legal speed, and we were overdoing it. I know people that are ADD or ADHD, and they take whatever they're taking, and they just take one, and they don't need anymore. They don't have that addictive they don't get addicted to the thing, but because of their brain chemistry, it's like, oh, my brain feels normal now. But I did get addicted, and in fact, bad A, I think I was reading about this before, we used to take a bunch of Ritalin and then sneak out and meet her boyfriend who would bring us beer, and we'd just be able to, our minds would be clear, but we wouldn't really have the effect of the alcohol as much unless we stood up and then we're like, ooh, falling down. And that's why she would later, of course, go into some bad drugs, and that's when I started moving away from that. But so those two elements, the eventual bipolar diagnosis and the Ritalin, is maybe why I wasn't sleeping as much, and then also the depression too. And then I think circles, circles, circles. Last week I was talking about how I believe I had some friends that were toxic, that were at odds with each other and were probably pulling at me and causing a lot of confusion. And that, even if there had just been one that was doing that an abuser will do that. They'll kind of get you all up in a confused state. But then to have two that were at odds are probably pulling at me and causing my mind all chaos, and I was already in a very depressed, heartbroken state because of at least a Princess Bride boyfriend. So all of that combined, lack of sleep, maybe too much Ritalin, too much alcohol, bad friends, depression. I was a confused little person, and I was trying to find my way out of it by writing this. I think that's really empowering for me, is that in my darkest times, turning to the journals got me to try to make sense and try to find my way out of the darkness. And that's why I wrote and wrote and wrote. I'm a writer, and that's what writers do. The people of the world are all at the bus stop. I just wrote that. That's all it is on one page. The people of the world are all at the bus stop. Was I specifically saying, was I at a bus stop and I'm like, everybody in the world, there's 5 people, this is everybody in the world? Or I would think I was being maybe philosophical, and that we're all just at a bus stop waiting to the next place. There was a movie from the 80s or the 90s that I watched when I was younger. Comment below if you remember what this was. It was a movie about at the afterlife, and the afterlife was before you went to heaven. It was this place where you were kind of in the interim, and it was it was wonderful. You could go, and you had an apartment, and you could have this whole world and explorations, and but then you had to go before sort of a court and convince people that you should go to heaven or the good place or whatever. This is before that TV show, The Good Place. And there was buses or trains that they would say, okay, you're going to the bad, you're going to hell, you're going to heaven, that would take you there. And so that reminds me of it. We're all at the bus stop waiting to go to the next thing. What a weird way to say that we're just waiting. We're at bus stops waiting for the next thing. That's waiting for the next life or whatnot. Waiting. Just drive your own bus. Just get your own bus or car and take over your life. Don't wait around for someone else. That's my lesson to my younger self and to you. And lastly, friends to the end. 6/8/1995. Stars, silver stars, staying close together as friends do, building up on top of each other as support and strength, giving one another strength to shine, the ability to stand tall, to not be afraid of all that life gives. Sometimes the stars shine high up in the sky, others are not so bright and sometimes unseen at the bottom. This is like down there. Can't see him. You twinkle high in the sky in your glory. Moments while your smile at the bottom or on their twinkle point. What? You, unseen at the bottom. You twinkle high in the sky in your glory. Moments while your smile at the bottom or on their twinkle point. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know what I meant by that. Those at the bottom, you and anyone else, look up with a look of longing and possibility, envy across their brow. Then the glory moments end for a time, and you twinkling high above come crashing down to earth. Was that like the moon a couple weeks ago? Your twinkling silvery appearance is replaced by the gray pain of loneliness and sadness. As you fall, you think you'll die when you finally hit. But your friends are below waiting with the net of love they formed. Oh, they catch you and hold you as you shall do to them in their pain and their heartbreak. With them, there you start to feel better and twinkle as a star once more. You see the light of hope, and that is good. Do you ever wonder who breaks your heart more, a lover or a friend? Don't wonder no longer, dear child. Just live life in the twinkling stage. If you start to fall, I shall be there to catch you and hold you close. Remember, I am always here in spirit, and never far behind. Though my body isn't present, my heart is never far away. Wow. So, what an interesting little piece I was reading that. Okay, first thing that came to mind is when parents found out that I was depressed because I was calling around with potential suicide threats to my friends. They called my parents, and my parents took me to the psychiatrist that had been diagnosed me with ADD wrongfully and given me the meds. And when I went there, they just said, here's some Prozac, which was what they gave at the time. And then that was it, like, from family. I think I went to see a therapist once, and then it was like, your Prozac will eventually work and we'll go back to life as normal. But during that time, I was reaching out to friends constantly, and there were good ones. Like last week I mentioned T, my camp best friend, and B, these people that could see how there's these negative elements that were really messing with me. And there were some others. A friend of mine that I knew since, a couple friends that I knew since preschool, and then another friend in that circle of friends. And JG, which was a prom date of all three of us all the way through high school. And they really helped me. I was able to reach out to them, and they really stood by me and lifted me up, and were those people lifting me up. And so I am writing a kind of a thank you letter to them, because they did, I think, in my way. I also noticing that right here, just live life in the twinkling stage. I'm noticing that up and down of it all. Like, I'm up here and everything is great, and then the glory, and then that fades and I'm down. So there's that sense of a bipolar mood swing, I guess, you know, that I wasn't aware of, or I just, maybe it had never been shown to me that this wasn't right, and so it was not, like, I wasn't even allowed to explore, or kind of explore it a darker side of myself or my pain, or even like kind of process it. It was just cover it up and keep moving. So I think there's that element of the mood disorder, but then there's also this element of like not knowing how to process my emotions, and then being caught and hurt by something outside, by an ex-boyfriend or a friend or some kind of circumstance. I would come crashing down because I didn't know how to handle that pain or that, you know, abuse or that attack, and down it would come. And so it's a mixture of both, and that's why I think that I most likely have a form of bipolar as well as PTSD. So there's two elements going on there. And I think that an element from upbringing is wanting to always stay in that twinkling stage, and then wanting to be close to, so then that is the way to be. Always be up here. Don't ever deal with this. But that would get me to go from, you know, that's not a healthy way to live, is to never be able to go into that depth and process and heal from it, because it's always going to pull you down. It's always going to be there. You can't run from it. You can't try to just move forward. You can't, it's just, you can't try to stifle it, because it will come up and it will try to make its way out. Even if you're so good at covering it, and you're still covering it, it's still going to kind of make itself known. I think, so yeah, I was still afraid to do this. And what I found was interesting as I was reading this, I felt like it was a love letter to myself, from myself. If you start to fall, I shall be there to catch you and hold you close. Remember, I am always here in spirit and never far behind. Though my body isn't present, my heart is never far away. Like, I am saying that at this age, 45 to 16-year-old me. Like holding her and saying, you're gonna get through, trust me. Like, I'm writing that. And then also even then, like, there was kind of a wise, I'm starting to see this sense of, like, a couple weeks ago we had the pink-haired lady speak, and I got this impression that the pink-haired lady was like an inner me, or like a spirit guide kind of, that is part of me. This is all weird woo-woo right now, but there was a sense of like an inner me, or a spirit guide, or a higher self. That's what, a higher self that is me, writing down to me and guiding me and being my guide. And so that I didn't necessarily need to look out for something else. I just needed to listen more to my inner guide, my higher self, my inner self. And I've never really taken that sort of spirituality form, but I'm really starting to sense that here in my writing, that and if you're not, let's put it a different way. I knew what was right for me, even if I didn't. It was glaringly obvious that I knew I would be okay. I knew how to get what I wanted without having to have meltdowns, without having to be manipulative or any of that. I knew how to catch myself and hold hold me close, but it was devalued, and I was in a place that didn't honor that, and so I didn't feel like I could listen to myself, but it was always there. So with that, I'm going to say, remember always, you are loved, you are worthy of love, you matter, your life matters, and remember always to love your thrive and find your sunshine. Bye.